I never expected to wake up. That was the deal. We'd sleep forever, preserved in our cryopods while Earth healed itself from the catastrophe we couldn't prevent. But here I am, my eyes adjusting to the dim blue emergency lights, my throat raw from 500,000 years of disuse. The awakening protocol wasn't supposed to trigger unless Earth became habitable again. As I shakily stand in my pod chamber, watching the mist dissipate around me, I can't help but wonder, what changed? The last thing I remember was the mass evacuation, billions of people fleeing to the stars while a select few of us chose to remain behind, sleeping in these underground bunkers until our planet could sustain life again. My name is Dr. Sarah Chin, and I was the lead scientist for Project Morpheus, humanity's last-ditch effort to preserve a remnant of our civilization on Earth. We built 7 underground facilities across the globe, each housing 10,000 volunteers in suspended animation. The plan was simple: sleep until the automated systems detected conditions suitable for human life on the surface. The monitoring screen in front of me flickers to life, displaying data I never thought I'd see. The date makes my head spin. 501,947 years have passed. More than 500,000 years of human absence from the surface. The quaternary extinction event that drove us to this desperate measure should have long since passed. As I navigate through the facility's dimly lit corridors, my footsteps echoing against metal floors, I notice something odd. The awakening protocol should have revived everyone simultaneously, but I'm alone. The other pods in my section remain frozen, their occupants still locked in eternal sleep. The emergency backup systems show power at 23%, enough to maintain the remaining pods for now, but not indefinitely. Through the observation window, I can see the massive main chamber where thousands of pods stretch into the darkness. The facility's eye assistant crackles through aging speakers. Warning: external breach detected in sectors 7 through 12. Biodiversity scan indicates significant evolutionary divergence from baseline Earth species. My heart races as I pull up the external camera feeds. The world above us has changed beyond recognition. Where there once were cities, now vast forests stretch to the horizon. But these aren't the trees we knew. They're something else entirely. And moving among them, I catch glimpses of shapes that defy explanation. Something triggered my pod's revival sequence, and I doubt it was a simple system malfunction. As I access more data from our sensors, I realize our bunker detected what appears to be intelligent activity on the surface. Not human activity. Something else has claimed Earth as home during our long sleep. The real question now haunts me. Should I wake the others? With limited power and unknown threats above, reviving all 10,000 sleepers could be a death sentence. But leaving them in stasis while I investigate alone feels like an impossible burden. Every minute I wait, watching those alien shapes move across our cameras, the weight of this decision grows heavier. A sudden impact shakes the facility, sending tremors through the reinforced walls. The eye's voice returns, more urgent now: caution. Unknown entities attempting to access primary entrance. Structural integrity at 97% and declining. Whatever evolved in our absence, it knows we're here, and after 500 millennia, humanity's long sleep might be coming to an end, ready or not. I take a deep breath and pull up the facility's master controls. One way or another, I need to make a choice. The future of our species might depend on what I do next. The facility's master controls glow beneath my fingertips as another impact reverberates through the structure. I make my choice. Wake up the command crew first. If we're going to face whatever's out there, we need our best minds working together. I input the revival sequence for pods A12 through A20, where our top engineers and security personnel sleep. As I wait for the revival process to begin, my mind drifts back to the day we entered the pods. The sky had turned an apocalyptic shade of orange, choked with particulates from the chain reaction we couldn't stop. We pushed Earth too far, triggered something in the planet's core that set off a cascade of natural disasters. The wealthy escaped to their space colonies, but we chose to stay to preserve a piece of humanity on the planet that birthed us. The soft hiss of hydraulics pulls me back to the present. Dr. James Cooper, our head of security, emerges first. His military training shows as he immediately takes in his surroundings, eyes sharp despite centuries of sleep. Status report. He manages to croak out, throat as raw as mine had been. We've got company upstairs, I tell him, helping him steady himself. And I don't think they're sending a welcome basket. The security feeds show more movement now. Massive shapes circling our entrance with an unsettling intelligence in their movements. They're methodical, testing different points of our outer defenses. One by one, the rest of the command crew awakens. Dr. Lisa Wu, our environmental specialist, immediately goes to work analyzing atmospheric readings. Her eyes widen at the data. Sarah, these oxygen levels, they're higher than anything in recorded history. The plant life up there must be incredible. Before she can continue, the AI interrupts. Warning. External entities have accessed the secondary maintenance shaft. Breach likely within 1 hour at current rate of progression. The news hits us like a physical blow. The maintenance shaft was our emergency escape route, designed to be practically invisible from the surface. Whatever these creatures are, they're smart enough to find our weakness. We need to wake more people, James argues, already moving toward the master control panel. We'll need defenders if they breach the facility. I catch his arm. The power grid is already strained. Each person we wake draws more energy from our reserves. If we wake too many, I don't need to finish the sentence. We all know what happens when the power fails. Thousands of people trapped in pods that can no longer sustain them. Dr. Wu's voice cuts through our debate. Look at this, she says, enhancing one of the external camera feeds. The image shows one of our visitors in clear detail for the first time. The creature moves with both grace and power, his form somehow familiar yet utterly alien. It's adapted to the new Earth perfectly. This is 500,000 years of evolution we're looking at. James leans closer to the screen. Are those tools they're carrying? A chill runs down my spine as I realize he's right. The beings attempting to breach our facility aren't just animals. They're tool users. Earth has produced new inheritors during our long sleep, and we're trespassing in their world. The facility shutters again, and this time the lights flicker. We need to make decisions fast. Who to wake, how to defend ourselves, whether to attempt contact. But looking at those strange yet intelligent shapes moving with purpose above us, I can't help but wonder, do we have any right to reclaim this world at all? The emergency lighting bathes everything in a blood-red glow as we race through the facility's corridors. The eyes warnings have become a constant backdrop to our frantic preparations. Multiple breaches detected. External entities have penetrated to sublevel 3. Estimated facility compromise in 27 minutes. We've woken 30 more people. A carefully selected mix of scientists, engineers, and security personnel. Any more would drain our power too quickly, leaving thousands trapped in failing pods. Dr. Wu leads half the group to reinforce the lower levels, while James and I coordinate the defense of the main Cryo chamber. The rescued sleepers are adapting remarkably well to the situation, though I can see the shock in their eyes as they process how much time has passed. Some of them had children who left Earth on the evacuation ships. Those children's descendants would be ancient history by now, if humanity's colonies survived at all. A thunderous crash echoes through the ventilation system, followed by sounds that make my skin crawl, clicking and scraping, but with a rhythmic pattern that speaks of intelligence. They're communicating. Look at their movement patterns, James says, pointing to the security feeds. They're not just coordinating, they're using tactics. Fallback positions, flanking maneuvers. They're as organized as any human military unit. He's right. The creatures move with purpose, each group seemingly assigned specific roles. Some carry what appear to be tools fashioned from materials we don't recognize, while others use their natural weapons, claws and what look like retractable bone spurs. Power reserves at 18% and declining, the AI announces. Estimate total system failure in 3 hours at current consumption rate. Our makeshift command center becomes a flurry of activity as we try to find a solution. Some argue for waking more defenders, others for attempting communication with the creatures. A few suggest we should try to reach the surface and surrender, though to what, we don't know. The debate ends abruptly as the first of them reaches our level. Through the reinforced windows, we catch glimpses of their forms moving through the shadows. They're roughly humanoid, but that's where the similarity ends. Generations of evolution in Earth's changed environment has crafted them into something both beautiful and terrifying. They're heading for the primary power core. One of our engineers shouts, pointing to the tracking system. If they breach that chamber, we lose everything. Not just power, but the containment systems keeping our remaining sleepers alive. I make a decision that goes against every scientific instinct I have. Lock down the outer sections, I order. We'll seal off everything except the main Cryo chamber and the power core. Focus our remaining energy on protecting the sleepers. That's nearly half our awakened personnel trapped out there. James protests, but I can see in his eyes that he understands. We're not just fighting for our own survival anymore, but for the thousands still sleeping, unaware that their fate hangs in the balance. The creatures seem to sense our desperation. Their attacks become more coordinated, more precise. They're learning our defenses as they go, adapting their strategies. Through the facility's cameras, we watch in awe and terror as they use their tools to bypass our security systems with an efficiency that speaks of high intelligence. A sudden silence falls, more terrifying than all the noise that came before. The creatures have stopped their advance. On our monitors, we can see them gathering, hundreds of them, in the corridors surrounding our position. They're waiting for something. Then we hear it, a new sound, different from the others. A deep, resonating call that seems to vibrate through the facility's walls. The creatures respond, their own calls creating a haunting chorus that makes us all stop and listen. Movement in the main access shaft. The AI reports. Unknown entity approaching. Size exceeds all previous specimens by 300%. We gather at the observation window, weapons ready but useless against our reinforced glass. Through the red emergency lighting, we watch as something massive descends toward our level. Whatever decisions we've made, whatever plans we've laid, I realize this is the moment everything changes. Their leader has arrived. The massive figure that emerges from the shadows stops my breath. Unlike its followers, this being stands fully upright, its height nearly brushing the 12-foot ceiling. But it's not its size that makes us all take a step back. It's what it's wearing. Wrapped around its towering frame are tattered, unmistakably human-made materials. Fragments of old environmental suits, pieces of synthetic fabric that shouldn't have survived the centuries, all woven together with unknown materials into something new. That's impossible, Dr. Wu whispers beside me. Those are expedition suits, Deep Earth Project pattern. The words hit me like a physical blow. The Deep Earth Project, a research initiative that had been exploring the planet's core changes just before the evacuation. They'd gone missing, presumed dead in the chaos of those final days. The creature raises one of its limbs, and in its grasp, I see something that changes everything. A battered but recognizable tablet computer. Not a relic from our time, but something that looks significantly more advanced than what we had before entering Cryo sleep. The AI's voice crackles with static. Warning. External systems detecting archived human signals. Timeline inconsistency detected. Alert. Secondary facility protocols activating. James grabs my arm, his face pale. Sarah, we're not the first ones to wake up. The realization crashes over me. During our long sleep, others must have awakened, maybe decades or centuries ago. They would have emerged into a changed world, faced these evolved beings, and what? Made contact. Tried to rebuild. A new series of alerts blares through the facility. On our monitors, we watch in shock as hidden doors we never knew existed slide open in the lower levels. The creatures aren't just breaking in. They're accessing our facility through maintenance paths that aren't on any of our blueprints. Power surge detected in Sector 17, the AI announces. Unknown data transmission in progress. Sector 17. One of our engineers asks, confused, we only have 16 sectors. I rush to the central console, my fingers flying over the controls. The schematics I pull up show something that wasn't there before, a hidden section of the facility, completely separate from the main structure. As I dig deeper into the files, my hands begin to shake. This wasn't just another storage area. It was a backup command center, designed to activate only under very specific circumstances. The massive leader creature makes a series of complex sounds, and to our astonishment, text begins appearing on our main screen. It's broken, filled with errors, but undeniably human language. Protocol 7 initiated. Integration sequence beginning. They're not attacking us, Dr. Wu says suddenly, her voice filled with wonder. They're trying to wake up everyone, but safely, using power from somewhere else. They're protecting us from the same mistakes they've seen before. Before anyone can respond, every screen in the facility flickers to life, displaying the same message. Previous awakening, 47,283 years ago. Subjects, 103. Current surface integration status, successful. Genetic modification survival rate, 89%. Ready to proceed with Phase 2. The pieces fall into place. We weren't just preserved to survive. We were part of a much larger plan. Some of our people had awakened earlier, faced with the same changed Earth we're seeing now. Instead of fighting it, they found a way to adapt, to truly become part of this new world. They didn't just survive. They evolved deliberately and scientifically, alongside Earth's new inheritors. The leader steps closer to our window, and I can see intelligence in its eyes that reflects not just natural evolution, but something more. In its stance, I recognize the bearing of a scientist, a leader. With growing certainty, I realize we're looking at what humanity might become, what some of us have already become. Another impact rocks the facility, but this time it's different. The walls aren't shaking from an attack, but from massive machinery coming to life deep below us. Full facility reactivation in progress, the AI announces, preparing for grand awakening under Protocol 7 parameters. We stand at the window, watching as more of the creatures, our descendants, take up positions around the Cryo chambers. They're not here to destroy our sleeping survivors. They're here to show us how to survive in this new world. But as the facility rumbles around us, one question burns in my mind. Are we ready for the price of survival? The secret command center's doors slide open with a hiss of ancient hydraulics. As we step inside, guided by our evolved descendants, the room illuminates to reveal walls of data screens displaying information that spans 500,000 years of history. But it's what stands in the center that stops us cold. A stasis pod, different from the others, its surface covered in a film of black material that seems to absorb light. Oh my God, Dr. Wu breathes, rushing to the pod's control panel. These readings. This pod has been cycling every 1,000 years, waking its occupant for 1 month, then returning them to stasis. For 500,000 years. The leader creature, no, the evolved human, approaches a console and interfaces with it using movements that seem both alien and familiar. A holographic image flickers to life, showing a face I recognize immediately. Dr. Thomas Chen, my grandfather, the original architect of Project Morpheus. If you're seeing this, the recording begins, then our greatest gamble has paid off. You've met them, our children of 500,000 years. What we discovered after the first emergency awakening changed everything. Earth wasn't dying when we went into stasis. It was evolving, preparing for a transformation we couldn't have imagined. The catastrophe wasn't an ending. It was a beginning. The screens around us fill with data, showing the deliberate progression of human evolution alongside Earth's new environment. Each awakening cycle had produced new adaptations, carefully guided by my grandfather and his team. They hadn't just accepted evolution, they had directed it, creating a new branch of humanity perfectly adapted to the changed Earth. A sharp series of alarms cuts through the revelation. Warning, the AI announces, stellar anomaly detected. Incoming vessel of unknown origin approaching Earth orbit. The evolved humans around us shift their attention upward, and through their reaction, I understand. This is what they've been preparing for. The massive screens switch to an orbital view, showing something massive entering Earth's atmosphere. Its design is clearly artificial, but unlike anything in human records. The final test approaches. My grandfather's recording continues, his voice tight with emotion. We detected their signals centuries ago, visitors from beyond our solar system, drawn by the changes in Earth's composition. We needed to be ready, not as the divided, vulnerable species we once were, but as something new, something that combines the best of human intelligence with the adaptability to survive anywhere. The black pod in the center of the room begins to cycle open, and I finally understand its purpose. Inside lies my grandfather, somehow both ancient and preserved in his 1,000-year sleep cycle. He's been guiding this evolution personally, awakening periodically to ensure humanity's transformation stayed on course. The evolved humans around us move with practiced precision, activating systems throughout the facility. Dr. Wu's eyes widen as she reads the data streaming across her screen. These aren't just adaptation protocols, she says. They're ascension protocols. We're not just waking up. We're about to take the next step in human evolution, all of us together. As if in response, the facility's deep machinery roars to life. The power signatures we thought were failing weren't showing depletion. They were showing transformation. Each cryopod begins to glow with the same black material that coated my grandfather's pod. The choice is yours, my grandfather's recording says as his pod completes its opening cycle. Join us in the next phase of human evolution, or remain as you are. But know this, what descends from the stars will reshape our world again. The only question is whether we reshape ourselves first. I look at the others, seeing the same mix of fear and wonder in their eyes that I feel. Through the facility's windows, we can see the evolved humans raising their faces to the sky, their bodies beginning to shimmer with a transformation we're just beginning to understand. My grandfather's eyes open, meeting mine across 500 millennia of careful planning. Above us, the visitor's ship breaches the atmosphere, its purpose unknown, but its timing perfect. As the black material from the pods begins to spread through the facility, reaching for us with tendrils of engineered evolution, I realize the true purpose of Project Morpheus was never just to survive the past. It was to ensure humanity's place in a future more incredible than we could have imagined. I take a deep breath and step forward, ready to embrace whatever comes next. After all, adaptation has always been humanity's greatest strength. The transformation wasn't painful. It felt like stepping into a warm ocean, letting the waves gradually reshape you. As the engineered evolution spread through my body, my senses expanded in ways I never thought possible. Colors I couldn't name bloomed in the air around me. I could feel the vibrations of the earth itself, the deep rhythms that had triggered our planet's metamorphosis so long ago. My grandfather stood beside me, his presence both familiar and new. 500 millennia of periodic awakening had changed him, but his eyes still held the same determination I remembered from my childhood. The visitors, he said, his voice carrying new harmonics that seemed to resonate with the evolved humans around us. They've been watching Earth since before we went into stasis, waiting to see if we adapt or perish. Through the facility's reinforced windows, we watched as the massive ship descended through the clouds. Its surface rippled like liquid metal, reflecting the changed Earth below. Endless forests of impossibly tall trees, vast networks of living architecture that had grown from the ruins of our cities. This was the planet as it was meant to be, not dying but transforming into something greater. Dr. Wu's laughter drew my attention. The transformation had reached her too, and she was holding up her hands, watching in fascination as her skin shifted to better capture the sunlight filtering through the upper levels. The atmospheric changes, she said, they weren't random. Earth was preparing itself, preparing us, for something bigger. James joined us at the window, his military bearing now balanced with a fluid grace. How many of the other facilities succeeded? He asked my grandfather. How many others transformed? 3 of the 7, he replied. The others. He paused, and I could feel his sadness ripple through the air. Evolution always has its costs, but those who survived, they became the foundation of this new society. They taught us how to merge human consciousness with Earth's new rhythms. And now it's time for the next step. The ship settled onto the vast plain before our facility, easily the size of a small city. As its surface stilled, I realized it wasn't merely reflecting its surroundings. It was studying them, analyzing, learning. Just as we had transformed ourselves to meet the future, These visitors had transformed themselves for the rigors of interstellar travel. The universe is more alive than we ever imagined, my grandfather said, leading us toward the facility's surface exit. What we thought was an extinction event was really an invitation. Life doesn't just adapt, it ascends. Now it's time to take our place among the stars. As we emerged into the sunlight, I saw our awakened sleepers joining with the evolved humans, each transformation unique yet harmonious. The visitor's ship opened like a blooming flower, revealing beings that seemed to be made of light and possibility. They had come not to conquer or judge, but to welcome us into a community of transformed species, each having passed their own tests of adaptation. I turned back for one last look at the facility that had preserved us for so long. Project Morpheus had been more than an ark. It was a chrysalis designed not just to protect us through Earth's changes, but to prepare us for the next stage of existence. The future stretched out before us, filled with possibilities we were only beginning to understand. As the light beings approached, their communications flowing into our transformed minds like music, I realized that humanity's greatest story wasn't coming to an end. It was just beginning. We had slept for 500,000 years, only to wake into a dream greater than anything we could have imagined. And somewhere, deep in the newly evolved forests of Earth, other facilities were beginning to stir, ready to release their sleepers into a future where adaptation meant more than mere survival. It meant transcendence.